We already did it. You already seen my face. What's up? What's up? This is round 2. Hopefully YouTube does not take this down or block it or whatever. I'm going to be listening to Joe Rogan Experience, the Cat Williams episode, or whatever you want to call it. Hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do while I play some session.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
What's up?
How are you?
I can't believe we never met each other until today. That's kind of crazy.
It's really weird.
It's kind of crazy. It was always like at the store, they're like, Cat was here last night. I'm like, fuck. It was always two ships in the night.
Right. I would see you and not be able to get to you. Like, comedy is small, but only if you're mediocre. It's big. It's a vast, vast place.
It's vast and it's also small because there's so few of us. And worldwide, we were talking about this the other day. There's maybe 500 of us on the planet. You know, you got to be real generous and say 500 because it's really probably about 250.
Right.
But like legit comics, guys you want to hang out with, guys who are fun, guys who you
Your number's
recommend.
going down.
Your number's going down.
Your number's going down.
Guys who you'd recommend, leave your house, get a babysitter. Numbers going down. It's not a lot of people.
Right.
Think about the billions and billions of people on the planet. There's a smidgen of us.
Well, as children, we all take to talking with ease. So the fact that later on in your life, you'd be one of the people that is sad talk for a living is an amazing honor,
It's amazing.
even if you look 1,000 years back.
Yeah, especially today. To just be able to talk for a living? Oh my God. What? And that's the problem also with what we do, is that everybody can talk. So they see you talking, they're like, I can do what he's doing.
Right.
He's just up there talking.
And the better you do it, the easier it looks, which
Right.
is part of the trap.
Yeah, it's part of the trap.
It looks like he doesn't think about what he says. He just says stuff. But you couldn't be as accurate.
No. And then there's hanging around with comics and getting to know about shit like their electric Rolls Royces.
Right. Right. If Satan hits me, just know I'm hitting back immediately. You're going to know about it if I've never heard. Yeah, the electric specter.
That thing is insane. That thing's insane. Just the way the doors open up, the way the doors close when you touch the brakes. Totally silent.
For the price point, it would have to be perfect. And the whole thing is, it is. And that's what you're trying to do in any genre. Like, you're trying to find that thing that is flawless in that genre.
Right.
And that's it.
That's the Rolls Royce.
Well, because it's important to you that you be grounded in your so I can see you not have had it. I've had 4.
I'm not opposed to it. It's just the idea of it. For me, you know, I'm always like, get away from that. Go get yourself
Right.
a muscle car.
Well, see, you see what I mean? Yeah, because we live vicariously through these things, and it's been that way for all of humankind. I'm saying it was still like that for the Roman and his chariot.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's how he felt. Like that's how horsemen feel about that ride. You know, like
Yeah.
transportation and people.
Yeah, that's really the only object that I'm really into. Like, I'm into vehicles. I'm into mechanical vehicles.
Right.
There's like something about mechanical vehicles that just speak to me. I love them. I love looking at them. I love sitting in them, driving them. It's just like, it's one of the things that people say, like, money can't buy happiness. That's definitely true. You're fucked up. You're not going to get happier if you get rich. But if you're already reasonably happy, and you can afford a nice muscle car, god damn, you'll feel happier. You will feel happier.
But every time.
Every time.
So what I'm saying is, when I got the 67 Chevy Camaro, I needed no other cars. I was complete. When I got the Grand National, you couldn't tell me anything. There was nothing on the highway that was of my ilk.
Yeah.
But I've felt that way 12, 13 times. That's what makes it real love.
Yeah, they give you real joy every time you drive them.
And you feel like that character in that movie. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you drive a 1970 Chevelle, you feel like John Wick.
yeah, it's a sacred place. There's music there, there's recklessness, but there's safety.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it gets to the essence of a beat.
And I think it's a thing that won't exist 100 years from now. I think automated driving will be. I really do. I think we're about 100 years away. 100 years away from no personal automobiles. No control of your vehicle. We're going to stop all crashes. We can stop all crashes and all highway deaths. Come on, Kat. Won't you contribute and give up all your rights to drive? We're going to stop all death.
Yeah, it's not, but understand that all of these things have financial benefits, and then they use those perks you just mentioned to get you in. But I believe that it'll be mandatory. But for practical reasons, like this thing where the police want you and they have to chase you and you may get away, those days are done.
Yeah, they're just going to shut your car off.
Yeah. Your car is going to do what they tell it to do. Yeah. Just get behind this patrol car and follow us to the station.
There's speculation that they've had that for a long time. There was that famous journalist, Michael Hastings, what was his name? There's this journalist. It's pretty crazy. The guy went to Afghanistan with the troops. And he was only supposed to be there writing a Rolling Stone article about this general for a very short amount of time. But then there was a volcano in Iceland. And the volcano in Iceland stopped air travel. So this journalist from the Rolling Stone was embedded in this troop. And they started talking shit. And he started reporting the shit that they were talking, including disparaging comments that the general had said about Obama. So the general gets back. He has to retire. He has to, it's Rolling Stone exposed. It's a big deal because everybody loves his general. So he retires, and this Michael Hastings guy is on the run. And he's terrified. He's telling people, if I commit suicide or kill myself, people are threatening my life. And then he's going down La Brea, and his car is going like 120 miles an hour and just slams into a tree and explodes. And there's a video footage of it. This dude is just flying down the street, hits a tree, and the car explodes. And they asked security experts at that time, I think it was like 2005, 2005, is it possible to control a vehicle remotely? They said, does your vehicle have a computer? If your vehicle has a computer, they can control it. Period. There's a way.
And they know that.
And they've been doing that for, this is 2010. So this is 14 fucking years ago.
Easy peasy.
If they could do that then, what can they do now? They just shut your fucking car right off.
That's when his article came out, I'm sorry, so I think the action.
Oh. Well, how was the article in 2010 if the accident's in 2013?
Well, the article came out first and exposed McChrystal.
Oh, the Rolling Stone article.
Yeah,
I thought you meant the article on the accident.
If you actually do reading about Tesla, see, that's the thing, Joe. That's why I love history so much, because once you find out that this world is a circle, you can never get lost. Like, you can look at certain things and it'll tell you what's going to happen later, like, with amazing accuracy. Like, that's how I knew that things like what you showed me with Hastings, that those were real things.
Yeah.
It's not.
They've always been real.
Everybody who has ever been killed in one of those ways, there was a financial benefit to it. It was obvious. It was easy. You know where it came from. It's just that they do a good job. But how is that difficult if that's your job? Like, they do this. They do this really well. They do it worldwide.
Well, so this guy fucked with the worst person you could fuck with. A high-ranking, beloved general who's in charge of trained killers who love him. And you don't think he could put one of those dudes on you with a coffee meeting? Just have a sit-down at Starbucks with no phones on you? And let me explain what's going on?
A shadow government is no more difficult than a government.
Yeah. And so, not only that, they don't have to get elected. It's even better. Even nicer. They can stay for a long time. Think about J. Edgar Hoover. How long did that motherfucker stay in power for? He was running the FBI wearing a dress for like 30 years.
Because of what you just discussed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's why I can speak with impunity about the Illuminati, because I know who you would have to be in order for what I'm saying to bother you, number one.
Right.
Number two, I know your big secret. I know that you're not the Illuminati, I am. So you can't be illuminated. You're too dark. But the difficulty is getting people to believe something that they don't want to believe. And in each of these cases, this is where the money is. If you're just a capitalist, it is find something, establish a value for it, and make sure that that includes your profit, and make sure people really want it.
Right.
It's very fundamental.
Also, if you're running corporations and you're making billions of dollars, you're going to get bored. What's the ultimate game? The ultimate game is to run the whole world. You know what the ultimate game is, Kat?
I do.
We have an overpopulation problem, Kat.
Yeah.
It's an overpopulation problem.
Right.
And we're gonna be able to mitigate that with vaccines. We're gonna be able to mitigate that with health care.
Right.
We're gonna figure that out. We're gonna get rid of a bunch of people.
We used to be able to do it with neglect, and it was called nature's way. You know, like whatever was ailing you, it wasn't ailing everybody in the world. The Chinese didn't have it because they had 6,000 herbs 6,000 years ago and knew what each one did. And,
people are very resistant to that, and they don't realize that almost all pharmaceutical drugs come from plants.
You can't be against the original.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's government propaganda working on you. That's like remember when they had Marinol, when they were making weed illegal, and the people were going through cancer, and their doctors had prescribed them weed for chemotherapy, so they gave them Marinol. Do you remember that shit?
I do.
It's like a synthetic version of weed that's terrible.
But terrible is subjective.
Right.
To nothing. So they have this oil-like cannabis that is for people having seizures.
Right.
And it's the only thing that will stop a seizure.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It is. But here's the thing. The fact that there is a God is the biggest conversation worldwide, but the truth of the matter is there is more reason for you to believe there is a God than there is for you to not. Like the way that things interact, like if we're just talking about marijuana or alcohol, you have to understand that this thing serves no other purpose than to bring pleasure to this small group of beings.
Right.
And the fact that it already was set up to do that the fact that it was already set up on this planet for there to be medicines for us to find and to utilize. And you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not like, oh, yeah, so he made a cow. No, to make a cow, it means you had to also have made grass. And it means you would have had to have invented a whole new eating system for this animal, which was cud. And that means you would then have to have given him 3 stomachs to be able to, and you would have to have known that he was going to then emit a gas that was going to be necessary on the planet. Like none of these things are right. The fact that everything goes together is how you know.
It's pretty wild. And every time we step in and fuck with it, it goes haywire.
Right.
Every time human beings do it.
Predictably haywire. Right.
Haywire.
Right. But that's part of the benefits of free will. Is you really can jump into a volcano.
Yeah. Haywire.
You really can.
I mean, think about what we've done to wild. The craziest thing in this country, especially right here, is pigs. Bro, wild pigs are everywhere, and there's so many of them. I went to a friend of mine's farm, a ranch, to hunt wild pigs, and you just hear them like Lord of the Rings characters in the bushes. And there's 150 of them near you, 250 of them, thousands on the ranch. They're all over the place, and they have 3 litters a year. And they start having litters when they're 6 months old. They just pump out piglets. Let's go.
You can tell they're not delicious.
They are delicious.
Oh, well then here we go then.
They're
we don't really have a problem then,
Right.
do we?
No, we need to eat pigs problem.
No, we need to be sending this off somewhere to someone who does.
Well, definitely we should. That would be an easy way to solve a lot of hunger problems.
I'm saying we live in a country where we're complaining about food sources.
That's a good point.
These chickens are pecking us to death. They're everywhere. I can't eat and sleep. Yeah, but they're delicious, right?
Yeah. Have more chickens. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do have an overabundance problem, for sure. We really do. But the pig thing is a wild one. It's hard to get them. Like they're very smart and they spread out and there's so fucking many of them. They shoot it with helicopters. They fly over them. Right. I've been invited 3 times since I moved here to go shoot pigs out of a helicopter.
But that's part of the reason that you came to Texas.
The freedom, for sure.
Texas is a place of great adventure.
Yeah.
And people who believe in that. Right. It's really God's country.
It is in the right places. I think you're going to have annoying people everywhere you go in this world. But in general, I think the people here overall are nicer, they're friendlier, and they're not captured. They're not captured by the ether of Hollywood. They haven't been sucked into the vortex of ideological thinking and just that weirdness of that town. So when you escape that and just be around regular people, you're like, oh, people are all right. I've just been in an insane asylum. You're looking for a girlfriend. Like you have to be in a place where you're around good people, like normal people. That's better for you.
You're not trying to say that people that happen to live there are not nice people.
There's a lot of nice people there, for sure.
Here's the thing. Hopefully we can agree that the problem is with extremes.
Yes.
Extreme anything.
Yes.
Extreme left is as vicious and as far right.
Yep.
It's, the middleness of it all that makes America great. And
For
Texas
sure.
has been front and center of that forever.
I think a big part of it, though, is how much does your government control you? Even when things don't even make sense. Like in California, they made flavored vapes illegal. Can you imagine? Like, strawberry mist is our number one
That was
problem.
fine, but they let it also hurt black people in that it counted menthol as a flavor and hurt Newport.
So you can't sell menthol cigarettes in California.
Right, they have their own cigarettes.
Is
they
wild.
have non-menthol Newports. Yeah, it's terrible.
Why do black people like menthol so much? What's that about? It's a totally different type of cigarette.
You're gonna get me canceled.
No.
This is very racist. This
Is
conversation, even though neither of us are. Go figure.
Just talking about a type of cigarette that people enjoy?
Just saying, why do black people like Newport so much, and a black
Cigarettes.
person actually getting ready to answer this. Oh, it's terrible on all ends.
I don't think it is.
Well, I don't think it is either, because we have a new.
It's like if you started asking me about spaghetti, I'm not going to get offended. You start asking me about Italian food or why are Italian people so loud. I'm not gonna get offended.
How many people have ever died of pasta-related illnesses?
A lot.
Joe.
A lot of fatsos out there kicking the bucket, bro.
That's not because of
That's an
pasta.
overabundance of carbohydrates,
They
sir.
were going to be fat wherever they lived, sir.
Maybe. That's an overindulgence.
Going to be great bread eaters in
delicious high
Uzbekistan.
carbohydrate food. They couldn't stop it. People are addicted to food like they're addicted to anything. If there's a thing that I could ever be addicted to, it's that.
Right. That's all of us, though.
All of us.
And what a blessing.
Yeah. We have so much.
Starving people are addicted
Exactly.
to anything, and they don't have food-related illnesses.
Exactly.
But back to where
Yeah.
you were asking
left
me about
versus the right. I just-
the menthol cigarettes.
Oh, that's right.
And the answer is, we value strength in product. So there's this whole thing with liquor and malt liquor, and the difference between the two. And one is richer and stronger.
The more potent version.
Right. And as
makes
a people, we tend to go with those products.
Things are stronger. That makes sense.
Right. Like before things were called concentrate.
Yeah.
That's
That makes sense.
concentrate. And the fact that menthol is a natural thing.
Right.
Anybody who is from the South knows about mint plants and
And menthol
Always.
used as a skincare product, like
Yeah.
injuries and shit.
like you appreciate that as a flavor profile. as well.
Right. That makes sense.
The mint juice.
It's just telling people they can't have it. Who the fuck are you? That's my position.
Well, and that's a noble position, and we appreciate the fact that you represent that. But the truth of the matter is not. And the truth of the matter is that most people would like to be controlled more by the government.
Make it easier.
Most people are all for government control, as long as they don't have to discuss it.
As long as it works in their favor, they'll give up a lot of rights. And then hopefully the next administration that's
Rights are
right
generally
will use
worthless
those
at the
rights.
time.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that the government can make life easy. A lot of people have it hard, right? So the government comes in and says, I'm going to make it easier for you, but I'm going to need certain requirements of you. I'm going to need you to have a digital ID. That digital ID will be attached to a social credit score. And we're going to give you universal basic income. You no longer have to worry about food or shelter. You'll be taken care of. Now you can pursue your dreams.
Is this the mark of the beast you're speaking of, sir?
I think it is.
Right.
Look
That's the whole thing. Is it's never been difficult at any point in history. Like we got a dude right now that's telling you front and center that I put a computer in somebody's head, guys.
Right.
Like
Yeah. And everybody's going, yay.
it's the greatest thing in the world, sir.
Yeah.
But we understood this 15, 20, 25 years ago. We understood while watching Tron or while watching Cyborg, we understood that there was just this small line medically that needed to be crossed in order for us to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
Like if you can hook a battery up to an octopus and make it go like this, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Why? Because this is a machine that we have.
It's a biological machine.
Right. And once
Yeah.
you understand it, you understand it.
Yeah. And you could fuck with that machine. You could juice it up. You could fucking get it stronger, get it smarter.
This
you could do
is-
a lot of things with that machine.
This is what the Anunnaki said. This is how you know that these are not made up things from people's imagination, because everything is too factual. Like this necklace, right?
Right.
people online were like, yeah, is that Buddhist or that's this or that? It's none of that. Like I just try to find the answers to things. So
Is that a ship wheel?
I designed this because this is that thing that you see that all the Anunnaki guys that have that look like a wristwatch, and they always have it, and you're always trying to see what that is.
Yeah, what is that?
It is a time, and it's a compass. It's a timekeeping compass.
That's what that is?
Yeah. So that's what made the carrier of great importance, because he was able to do things that were magical in nature, like go somewhere and get right back. Like, you know what I mean?
So, yeah,
like
that thing on the wrist was a compass?
a timekeeping
Compass.
Yeah. Right. So you had to believe in things that didn't exist at some point, like magnetics and distance and
Right.
probabilities and
Right.
that's how, like, if you were to read like thousands of books about people that knew a bunch of shit, like you start finding out that it's not really about knowing everything, it's about where to go to get the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when we look at all the ruins all around the world, like we're not seeing ruins of colleges and universities and all of that. We're seeing temples and synagogues and churches, but people don't understand that that's where that information was coming from that period of time. When we went to these temples, they weren't in there singing and reading from a book. They were in there being taught things that they were able to go put into practice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they were being taught agriculture. You know what I mean? Like they were being taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had some very bizarre knowledge too. They had a detailed knowledge of cosmology. They had a really detailed knowledge of our solar system.
100% of the writings across the world, whoever said anything about space or the universe or what was out there, why were all of them correct, Joe? It's not even possible. Like, how did they know that Mars was the red planet, and why was it a worldwide fact?
Right.
Planetarily, that Saturn had rings, like, based upon what information? Because nobody worldwide is disagreeing. Nobody's like, oh, I thought of this, or it came to me in a dream. Nobody's saying that anywhere in anybody's civilization. Everybody's civilization says this information came from people.
Yeah.
Like, there are no coincidences.
Did they know that Mars used to have an atmosphere? Mars used to have an atmosphere, it used to have water. Something happened to its environment.
If that's correct, then there's a guy right now saying he's getting ready to put people up there.
Yep. Exactly. Restart it all over again.
50 years ago, there was no water in our whole universe. Let them tell it. Now there's been water almost everywhere. There's water on the moon, for crying out
Are
loud.
you familiar with the Younger Dryas impact theory? Do you know what that is?
Say what?
The Younger Dryas impact theory is a theory that Earth goes through a cycle of like comet storms every June and every November, and most of the time nothing happens. But every now and again we get hit big, and they think we got hit big 11,800 plus years ago, and that had to restart civilization, and that what you're seeing from like Mesopotamia, all these people 6,000 years later. They think that is a rebuilding of civilization that was already like just whispers and stories and tales, and then they rebuilt it again thousands of years later. But if you go back to like 11,800 BC, 11,800 years ago, you're dealing with what we thought were hunter-gatherers, and now we know they weren't. Now we know they built complex stone structures, and the real speculation is they think that the people who built the pyramids built them way earlier than the conventional dating is. They think there's real evidence to show they're 9,000, 11,000 years old. Easy.
No people built the pyramids.
No people? Who built them?
No people built the pyramids. And if you look around the world, you see certain telltale things that let you know that advanced machinery was in usage. Look, this whole thing where slaves are stronger people is a fallacy. We like to believe that slaves are stronger. Slaves are weaker because they don't eat the right food and they live a terrible life. Your slave population is not smarter or in better condition unless you're enslaving the Jews.
They stopped thinking that quite a while ago. They think it was actually skilled labor because of the way they were eating. They found where their camps were, where their food was. They ate like very good food. So they think they were actually skilled labor, but also probably forced skilled labor. But that's probably not the people who built it. That's probably the people that were working. That's probably the people that worked in the village or in the city.
How many companies have done renovations on the White House? None of them have done enough renovation that they can claim it's their White House. So, yes, thousands of years worth of people were there. But that doesn't have anything to do with the building of it.
Who do you think built it?
Well, understand, we know enough now to understand that this was a complex. This was not...
right.
We've been led to believe that this is how much they worshipped their dead bodies.
Right.
But the evidence doesn't show any of that.
No, it doesn't.
Like when you see inside when they have those intricate carvings and paintings and stuff in gold and stuff, you have to remember this is in a windowless room, folks. There's no candle soot. There's no... It's clearly a power plant and built specifically for that location on this planet. For
what do you think it was powered
usage.
by?
The hot water springs underneath it.
So it was powered by the hot water springs? And to what end? How do you know all this, first of all? Is this marijuana talk?
I don't think so. This is...
Where did you read this?
If you follow information about humankind, you find out that in all parts of history, people were coming to this region for their information and their knowledge and their things that were forbidden. And these were not... these were the highest of human civilization. Here.
Not even comparable to anyone else.
No.
Nor since. Nor
now
since.
Or, yeah.
Nor since.
Right.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is insane.
Right. Like,
it's insane.
Like, even Tesla says that this is where he came to get the information. But if you follow that information pathway, it leads you to this character called Thoth, right? And the emerald tablets, Thoth are literally mind-changing and mind-blowing. Just because you understand when this was written and the terminology being used is
when was it written?
Far too accurate for now. So I'm sure that
here it is. Emerald tablet, also known as the Smaragdine tablet, or the Tabula Smaragdina. Boy, I fucked that up. It's a
Hermes
compact and
Trismegistus.
a cryptic Hermetic text. It was highly regarded by Islamic and European alchemists as the foundation of their art. Though attributed to the legendary Hellenistic figure Hermes Trismegistus. How do you say it, bro?
Trismegistus.
Trismegistus. The text of the Emerald Tablet first appears in a number of early medieval Arabic sources the oldest of which dates to the late 8th or early 9th century. It was translated into Latin several times in the 12th and 13th centuries. Numerous interpretations and commentaries followed. So what does it say, though? The Egyptian god Thoth. Okay, it says beginning in the 2nd century BC onwards, Greek texts attributed to Hermes, a syncretic combination of Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth.
And figure out how to fucking do this dark slide real quick.
There's a couple of ways you could do dark slides. So the traditional way is back foot on the tail, front foot on the nose. And you can do the Jeff Rowley style where you put the back foot on the tail and the front foot in the middle of the board. Or front foot on the nose and back foot in the middle of the board. For this video, I'm going to have my advanced settings set to default, just so everyone's on the same page. The first thing you're going to want to do is press start, go into options, gameplay, go to grind settings, and make sure dark slides are turned on. Let's start with the traditional dark slide. Back foot on the tail, front foot on the nose. So what you want to do is you want to tell your feet where to go. In this case, we want our feet to do a board slide motion. So that means pushing the sticks outwards. So I'm regular. I push my right stick to the right and my left stick to the left. Obviously, that's not the trick we want. We want to have the board upside down. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip the board over, and then you're going to do that same input while it's upside down. And that's going to give you a traditional dark slide. And it doesn't have to be a kick flip. It can be a heel flip. It can be a varial flip. Anything that makes the board go upside down and you can
appeared in Greco-Roman Egypt. Those texts known as the Hermetica are a heterogeneous collection of works that in the modern day era are commonly subdivided into two groups: the technical Hermetica, comprising of astrological, medico-botanical, alchemical, and magical writings, and the religio-philosophical Hermetica, comprising of mystical, philosophical writings. Holy shit.
Is this weed talk, Joseph?
No, this is so legit.
So legit, my man.
So this dude was probably an alien.
Dude, first of all, there are no probablys.
Yeah.
That's the benefit once you hear it or read it, is the fact that it's given in first person, and that's not possible. The things that are being said are impossible. Enough time has passed, though, that it's not like that. But
I'm going to read that.
he literally says, hey, there's a spaceship on Earth, and this is where it is. Because if all you care about is information, right? That's what you start to see is when you get to everybody's civilization, Asian, Indian, African, when you get to the crux of their information, nobody's disagreeing with anybody.
Right. If you figured out how the fuck they did it, if there was any logical explanation that people could have done it, I would be on board. I'd be like, oh, okay.
But there aren't any people saying that.
Human beings it's possible if you had enough power and you had enough engineering and mathematics that you could figure out how to design and construct a pyramid.
Yes.
But then the logistical problem of getting the stones from hundreds of miles away, massive, several ton, up to 80-ton stones.
Joe.
That's crazy.
If you
500 miles away, some of them.
Even if you could do it, let me ask you this. Would you build it on sand?
I don't think it was originally sand. So that's the thing.
Right. This was a fertile valley.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right.
The Nile Valley.
That
was the reason
they had
why they
electric
chose it.
and Wi-Fi, and they had all of that.
They probably did. And that's probably where the Younger Dryas impact theory comes in.
The greatest trick is to make us believe that people back then were dumber and we're smarter.
Right.
And that whole thing is a fallacy.
Yeah, that's definitely not real.
But it's worth it for us to believe that.
I think we are the children of the survivors of some great catastrophe. And I think that's why every single
Not
ancient
everybody.
biblical scholar... What?
Not everybody. Some people
What do you mean?
are that.
Some people are the survivors?
Right.
Well, I mean, most human beings probably got wiped out in comet storms. And I think we probably got... There's been points in history that they know of where human beings got down to like 7,000 people.
Who's counting them?
I think they use genetics and they backtrace and they try to find individuals that were capable of having X amount of children. I wonder how they do the calculations. It's a good question.
The things in
I'm
Hollywood
just guessing,
and
honestly.
in writing that have attracted our attention worldwide were all based on some truth. So all the stories of hobbits have been successful in all of their genres. Why? Because they existed. Like we now know that there were whole pygmy groups, and that, you know, we understand that that's what the Seven Dwarves was.
Yeah. Like that island of Flores, man, that they found. They literally call it a hobbit. It was like a 3-foot tall person. They was covered in hair, smaller head than us, used tools.
As a preteen, I knew that Atlantis really existed, just because of how it was spoken of offhanded
Just that it was
in
known.
early writings.
Yeah.
Well, not just mentioned, but mentioned offhandedly, like you would a place that's just a landmark.
Right. We landed in New York before we went to Montreal. Yeah.
We were in Austin,
Yeah.
by Dallas.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the guy that thinks that they found the spot in Africa? What is that the ring called? That Jimmy Corsetti is he's on this. This dude is an expert in this shit. And he's an expert in ancient catastrophes and the remnants and the evidence that shows that these civilizations existed and something happened. And he's focused on this one area in Africa that he believes is Atlantis. And he says it has all the hallmark characteristics, and there's all the evidence of massive water erosion surrounding the area. And that at one point in time, it's very likely that this area got hit with a massive flood, and it matches all the characteristics of Atlantis. When you see it, when you see the way the concentric circles of rings, like try explaining this. You're gonna see it. And try explaining this through a natural phenomenon that doesn't exist anywhere around it. Right. Concentric circles that is near what used to be water, and there's heavy water erosion marks all around it that indicate massive amounts of quick flowing water in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I forget what it's called, but I know exactly where it is. It's right here. You can zoom in. It's the-
That's it. Look at that thing. Bro, are you fucking kidding me?
The reshot structure.
That's it. The reshot structure. I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
You can see the.
Now imagine if that was this massive city of concentric circles and walls and a thriving population, and then it gets hit with this water. You can see the water erosion all over the place. The whole thing looks like it's washed out. See?
Yeah.
It looks like it was washed out because it was.
Right.
That's salt, I believe.
But that's
yes,
what
there's
makes
salt there. That's the other thing.
between this and the Garden of Eden locations. Like these are two of the great landmarks in human history.
Where's the Garden of Eden?
Well, when you read the stories, right, the thing that strikes you is that it's so specific. Like, it says things in talking about the Garden of Eden that, wait a minute, if I can't find what you're talking about, this isn't even real. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like where the Garden of Eden was, there's, I think, 4 rivers that come from it. And then it names 2 of them. like the Nile and the Euphrates, right?
Right.
So you know 2 of them, and it's saying, you know, where the 4 meet, this is where it is. And yeah, my whole life I was like, this is really weird, because at one period of time you're thinking no flood happens, and so many things that have lined up from these great religious books.
Yeah.
Where we can see that something happened here.
Something happened, and these are stories of people telling stories that have been told to them for about 1,000 years.
But this is why, right?
Yeah.
This is
Something
why they
happened.
were told, and that's what that's the difference between those of us that want to know the world's mysteries and conspiracy theorists. Like, there's nothing to a conspiracy theorist because you're not producing what you're using. But these world mysteries, like, that's harder to do. A lie is not something that people are going to repeat for generations and generations. It's being repeated like that because people have reason to believe it to be true. As you go through history, you see that those are the stories that we still talk about, but they're still valid. Like there were writings that the African Dogon tribe is like they're
From like the Sirius star system.
like they're saying very specific things, and for hundreds of years we're going, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Like somebody will have a fake star story.
Right.
You see?
Right.
And now we get to the point where we can actually see.
What if we find out that we're aliens? That we were just dropped off here a long ass time. The Adam and Eve story is the story of the place where they created us.
I'm sure we're the only people in the universe that think like that.
You think so? Why do you think that?
No portion of humankind's story differs from that.
It's all creation story.
Like, if you go, that's why NASA and Space Force are not more forthcoming, because the further you get in space, the more obvious shit is. Like, once you're up there and you're looking down, this shit doesn't look like there is no God. It looks like you're in the middle of somebody's workshop and they just showed you every single way that every star can be made, every single way a planet can be made, every way that a black hole can be, a galaxy, a universe, and then showed you the best of the best.
It's the spot. I mean, in our solar system, we're the best neighborhood that's ever existed. They all suck. Every other planet sucks.
We're rudimentary enough that we still require environmental help.
Right, until you get that chip. Once you get
At
that
each
chip,
point, it would be like saying people that didn't learn how to ride horses, they were slow. Like, they couldn't run fast enough, so they got horses.
right.
No, it didn't have anything to do with that. Better's better.
That's really what it's gonna be. Better's
Right,
better.
right.
We're all gonna integrate.
Like, we would have told you 30 years ago that we wouldn't need a Space Force unless we went up there and found something.
I think the Space Force, the idea is that they're worried about
It's not an idea.
someone else being in space first with weapons flying around.
You mean us?
Yeah, well, if we can do it, they can do it. That's the thing.
Who is they?
Whoever it is.
No,
China.
there's only humankind and
Yes.
alien.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
The problem is, this is what we really need. We really need this neural link to lock us all together so everybody can read everybody's mind. That's what's going to happen, and then there's going to be no more leaders. There's going to be no more governments.
Okay. You're
There's
being
gonna be
very
no more-
controversial right now. Okay, so look, that
Better is better.
That exists already. So just understand that the worldwide government is way smarter than we give them credit for, because they have us believing they don't do nothing. But the truth is, like there's no such thing as the government is in bed with the internet. No, the internet is a government installation that they allowed the world to use for free so that they could have the information willingly, because you're on it.
That's what it became.
Exactly.
But I think
that's
it's
what it
just
was
the
to
progression.
become.
You think so?
Yes.
I think the progression of technology oftentimes leads itself to, like, even cell phones. At first it was Michael Douglas walking on the beach of Wall Street, looking amazing with that brick, carrying that big brick. Like, look at that guy. He's got a phone with no cord. He's out on the beach. This is insane. To everybody having a phone.
But not to everybody, because those in the ham radio community and people with the CBs, they didn't feel like that was cutting edge, because it really wasn't. Like
It's still cutting edge to be able to walk around with a device. It's a leap in technology.
Here's the thing. When you look at all of our inventions, that's when you know that these space encounters were real. Because we only have advancement in a couple of industries in the world, and everything else is nothing. So, like the microwave that they had 30 years ago, it looks the same. It's the same microwave now. Why? Because it was done as a military thing. It was supposed to be a weapon, and then they found out, it heats up food, and put a door on it. And so it hasn't changed at all, because invention is very difficult. And
do you subscribe to the idea that we get back engineered?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why those leaps, we don't see those leaps in anything else. Like
Yeah. There's
the
so much
real
speculation about the creation of a bunch of different things that came out of Roswell. Fiber optics.
Right, but remember,
Yeah.
20 years ago, 15 years ago, this is crazy talk.
Crazy talk,
But
yeah. But now it's New York
it's not.
Times.
Like, it's at the point, at this point, like, Area 51 would have to be doing something.
They were definitely doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling a differing story as to what it is.
Right.
Like, people have great imaginations all through history. They could make up something. The only damning information is if you read 3,000 accounts of these entities and realize, wait a minute, why is everybody describing the same couple of things?
Right.
Like, there's no outliers. Like,
There's like 3 different things they describe. Yeah, they said that they're documented 8 to 12.
we're not talking about English-speaking people. We're talking about worldwide. Right.
Worldwide.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what is striking.
Indigenous people in Australia drew them. Yeah.
Right. Nobody's saying anything outlandish. And
No.
that's what you get to when you go religiously or...
Well, the alien thing is a bit of a religion to a lot of folks. They don't want to believe anything.
It's a necessary component.
Yeah.
Whatever religion you're a part of, at some point it says
You're contact.
that there was a fight in heaven, and this happened and that happened.
Yep. Every
And-
single one of them.
Everyone, without nobody's telling a different story. Everybody's telling the same stories.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know that vagina and gold are universal things, because in everybody's story, none of these otherworldly entities had any interest in anything other than women,
and gold.
Right, pussy or gold, like, because and you understand that now when you start learning about what's in space, because you can see that any element or any commodity that we sell here is abundant in space, like trash. You know, they found one meteor that was worth all the money.
On Earth.
Yeah, 770 billion. No, a trillion. It was another number. It's some
crazy number.
Right, right. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they know that there's spots in space that have abundant minerals that are very valuable. And the thing about the Sumerian story, the Sumerian text story, everyone would be a billionaire.
But
Every person would earn several $billion.
So it sounds jokey, right? But understand, somebody got this contract. Like, they broke this up into several worldwide contracts. Like
10,000 quadrillion.
It's just there.
But here's the thing: if you got that much gold, is gold valuable anymore? Because one of the things about gold is that there's not that much of it. You know, if you look at, you ever seen the number of gold on Earth?
That's not necessary in capitalism. They showed us that with diamonds.
They could hide
it is about the perception of things, and if I buy up all of something, it is rare now, immediately, just because I have control of all of it.
Right.
And that is worth killing Tesla over. And that's why the people are still in business in Hollywood, because everything's a commodity.
Did you ever read, you ever heard of Zechariah Sitchin? Zechariah Sitchin was a biblical scholar who he deciphered the Sumerian texts, and he's like an expert in language. And when he deciphered them, he might not have been a biblical scholar, might have just been a language expert. But either way, he deciphered these texts and wrote these books about the real meaning behind everything they were saying. And he said that the reason why we are so fascinated with gold is that the Anunnaki literally would have us mine gold for them because they needed it to protect their atmosphere. So what they would do is take gold, which is very rare in what it does. What gold can do is you can take a little piece of gold, like this big, and coat this entire table. It's real weird. So you could turn into a fine dust, and they suspended this fine dust in their atmosphere to protect them from a degrading atmosphere, because they were getting global warming or whatever.
Everybody that was...
He wrote about this in the 70s.
It doesn't matter, because everybody in Egypt knew it. Like, this is where the alchemy...
Yeah, that's where it all originated.
Right.
Well,
like,
we don't even know what they knew.
None of those people are saying, hey, I came up with this shit. They're saying...
Right, somebody gave it to us.
Somebody who came from this place here came and told us that this is how this goes and this is what this is worth.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying the people that were being abused in the mines going to get the diamonds, it wasn't like that for them. It was just them getting these rocks. And this crazy guy's gonna pay a day's wages for us to gather rocks. Let's gather them. You know, this is... But when you follow back, it's all about the information. And at the top of it, nobody's trying to claim it. Like, nobody's saying...
Right, I invented this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is wild. If imagine this, that's why we're getting most of our shit, back engineered stuff they leave for us. We have to figure it out, sort through it. The people that have alien technology, if the people that do have an alien craft that they work on, what a weird reality you must live in. The whole rest of the world's got guessing, and you got this thing in front of you, like, oh, this is real. We have one. I could show it to you.
That's how everybody in Space Force will have to feel, right?
Right, they must. How many of them you think see shit?
I'm saying, how do you think Elon Musk really feels? Like,
I don't think he's gonna tell you.
No, I'm saying in his head, can he still have a superhero, or is he one of them?
Ooh.
You know, he's one of them. Like,
if you're the richest dude in the world and you're also a super genius, how the fuck do you stop yourself from thinking you're a superhero? That's the big question.
No, it's not like that.
No?
No, it doesn't have superhero side effects to it.
I mean, you would probably think.
The more you know, the more you know how little you know.
That's true.
So there's not a, you know what I mean? And nobody has ownership of information. That's why reading books moves civilization. Because, like when I said, like, you know, I read 3,000 books, people were like, yeah, right. But, you know, everything in life is about the environment it was grown in, the petri dish, right? So if I told you that from the time I was 8 to the time I was 12, I never celebrated any birthdays, I never went to a birthday party, I never had a Thanksgiving or Christmas, I never trick-or-treated, I wasn't allowed to watch movies, and I wasn't allowed to watch TV. All I could do was read. If I told you that, then you would understand that for 8 hours a day, I got 8 hours, and I can read, and I love to read. And so I'm reading books that are 250, 200 pages, and it takes me about an hour to read one. So, yeah,
It takes you an hour to read
I'm reading
150
8
pages?
a day. Yeah, like all I'm doing is reading, because that's what. So I'm checking out 20 books. The limit at the library is 20 books at one time. So I'm going Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just because it's just my thing. Like,
So you're getting 60 books a week?
Minimum, because
Really?
yeah, because I'm reading more than that, because I still have religious books that I have to read. So understand this is pre-internet.
Right.
So understand that in reading one thing that I'm reading, right?
Right.
This one thing that I'm reading is also requiring me to have this appendix book that is the source book that is telling me it's getting these things from. And so I've got 4 books open at a time just for this one book. Like, but yeah, so first, I guess between 8 and 12, I can read classics and nonfiction. So I'm saying no novels or anything like that. I'm just reading Time Life has like 1,800 of these individual books on all subjects of the world. And
So you just spent most of your time reading?
not most, all of it.
All of your time reading. And then when did it
That was
pop?
my thing, because like I was able to be in each of these stories. You follow what I'm
Right.
saying? And I was getting so much information. Like half of those I probably had to write a 1-page report on after, you know. But yeah, that was my whole thing. And the numbers aren't even really accurate, because I read more than that. Because like sometimes I would read something and I wouldn't get it. Like there was this classic book called Little Women that I probably read it 4 times because I just didn't understand it, and I knew it was a classic, but
I never read it. What's it about? Have
about
you read it, Jamie?
some Little Women.
I was a kid. I just watched an episode of Curb where they were talking about it.
What is the story
Well,
about?
well, here's the thing.
Sisters, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like 4 sisters think
Okay.
that, okay? But they had money and an incredible circumstance. But the thing was, I didn't have any sisters, so I didn't have anything to pull from, and I didn't have women in my life like that. So, yeah, a lot of things I would have to read multiple times for me to get.
Right, to try to think how they thought.
Right. Well, yeah, like even like the 3 Musketeers. Like I probably read it 3 times because it was so. I read it like the first time to read it, but then the next time I had to read it again because these characters were really distinct characters.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out, wait a minute, did this happen really in history, or was somebody just this good at telling this story of the, But it's things like that leads you to the Knights Templar story, which leads you to, seeing how things through history have remained. You know what I mean? Like, all of that you get from the books.
Well, history to me has always been the most fascinating thing because you can't quite imagine it. You're trying to imagine it, you're piecing it together, listen to these stories, and you just sit back and go, what the fuck was that like?
Right.
And that
which
wasn't
is
even
what
that
we
long
create
ago.
every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're creating the future's version of what the fuck was that like. This place right here freaks me out the most. Because this area, specifically this area of Texas, the hill country, was just all Native Americans forever. There's thousands of arrowheads, man. Look
Here's
at
the
this. My friend
thing.
found this on his ranch.
None of those people, when we say those people, none of them picked a bad place ever. That's when you understand that there's a grid.
Yeah.
Because nobody's holy people picked bad spots.
No.
Everybody understood certain things about the area, and long before they had x-ray machines. And
Yeah.
if you just went by that in the whole world, you would start to understand, like, the true power of the Vatican and the fact that certain things are based on real shit, like the Ark of the Covenant ain't some spooky little story. It's
What do you think
like,
it is? Think it's like a nuclear generator or something like that? What do you think it is?
whatever the nucleus is that would nuclearly power something that would have initially been in the pyramids would also have been in the Ark of the Covenant, which would be the same thing. It's something that you can't fuck with, and it's radioactive, and it's very powerful.
That's why
but
they gotta
it
put all
still
those rocks
has to
around
be.
it. Oh shit!
That's what I'm saying.
Imagine.
Nobody's telling any crazy stories, my man. Not globally.
No.
No. Everything.
Well, it gets
was
less
about
crazy
something.
every year. It gets less crazy every year. And 20 years ago, talking about any of this stuff was straight up nonsense. And now we were like, oh, that's probably what disclosure actually looks like. It looks like a slow trickle integration into the zeitgeist to the point where it's just normal.
Because a lot of times they're right.
Yeah.
A lot of times it turns out that they were right. No, we couldn't have told people this because we had and this would have happened, and that would have happened. So you can start to see that.
Yeah. That's why, when you think about what people have always believed, that's why angels and devils freak me out. Because no one wants to believe that there's a Satan, that there's a devil.
You
that
believe
there's-
in astronauts, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But people have always said there is.
You mean a bad and a good?
Yeah, not just a bad and a good, but an actual evil, malevolent force.
No, just start with bad
Okay,
and good.
yes, bad and
okay,
good,
so
yeah.
if we started bad and good, then we understand what must be at the extremes of that.
Right.
Nobody's telling a different story.
And then there's the concept of actual entities.
Yes.
Actual demonic entities that do exist.
Well, I'm saying your DNA is either fused or it's not. If it is, it requires a fuser. That's all.
A fuser.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
I'm saying if they tell you that certain parts of your DNA are fused, that requires a fuser. Did I say that right?
I'm not sure. I see what you're saying. The structure to us in everything, all of it, does seem remarkable.
In a no mistakes type of way.
Yeah, and in a synchronistic sort of a way.
which flies in the face of the accidental Big Bang, nothing from nothing way of, and it always has been.
Well, that's what I think, like, in the beginning there was light when they talk about that. If you were going to describe the beginning of the universe, even if you're describing the Big Bang, which there's a lot of speculation that that wasn't necessarily the beginning, that there might be a continuous cycle of these events happening over and over again. But if you were talking about a creation story, you would say in the beginning there was light. 'Cause there was. It's a fucking enormous amount of light that created the entire universe.
Literally.
Literally.
Right.
I think.
Which is all it says. And here's like, whatever they say that hell or Hades is in any of these religions worldwide, it is the perfect description for what a black hole is in real life. A bottomless pit
Yeah. Where time doesn't exist.
where time does not exist, where you don't arrive, but you don't exit, where the information, like,
And it eats stars.
right. But it eats stars and galaxies,
Yeah.
all that, right? But we can have multiple of them, and
All
everything
over
will
the
still be
place.
okay.
They're the center. The center of
That's
every
the
galaxy.
flex.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
That's the
fine
flex.
with them.
Right.
It's like if you live in Africa, you got to deal with lions.
What's this thing? Oh, it kills everything.
Right.
Everything what? Everything it touches.
Everything. It's gonna get us eventually, but not now.
What? You
That's
mean
the
you have two
flex.
of them?
They find them floating around.
They find them.
They find them floating around.
Right.
I mean, they noticed them.
Yeah.
They noticed that they're out there floating around.
Yeah.
They found one that's so fucking big. We did this thing when we played a video of how small the Earth is in comparison to the sun, how small the sun is in comparison to giant stars, and how small giant stars are